episode 59 of Grace and Steel. I'm Kevin Steele.
And I'm Kevin Michael Grace.
This show we're calling Spilling Beans. As our peg, we'll use the October 31st cover story of the National Enquirer, Hillary Hitman Tells All. I bought the tabloid. I have it in front of me now. The name of the hitman isn't in the story, but we know it because after this issue hit supermarket checkout racks, he did an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox. Jeff Rovin is his name. Now, we know that many people who eagerly awaited this story, myself included, were disappointed because it didn't live up to its billing. No new names were named, no kill shot documentation was presented, a lot was alluded to, not much specified. Still, there's a few things in it, and in the subsequent Hannity interview, that give us a glimpse into the role played by celebrity media in revealing or hiding political secrets. Now, I have to start out by saying that my co-host, Kevin Michael Grace, is at a disadvantage because he hasn't read the story, because he wasn't willing to blow $6 on the magazine as I was. Actually, I spent $12 because I went to the store last week to try to find it. Could only find the previous week's edition, so bought that one anyway. So now I have 2 editions of National Enquirer, the first 2 I've ever bought. I believe you've never bought it before, is that right, Kevin?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So where do you want me to start?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we could talk about the previous week's issue with all that exciting stuff about the, quote, Kim Kardashian robbery, unquote. But no, I guess we'll stick with Crooked Hillary.
Yeah.
I don't know, this talk about a smoking gun, which of course originates from Watergate, as far as I know. I'm thinking people are waiting for an actual smoking gun. Like they want pictures of the scorch marks on Hillary's hand from the gunshot, that she used to kill Vince Foster. Is that what they want?
Yeah. Well, I think that they want something that the media, the mainstream media, can't ignore. That's the kind of thing that they're looking for because they've been going to bat for Hillary, and they kind of totally ignored this thing except for Hannity's interview. And there was a story in the Daily Mail about the Hannity interview where it kind of recapped the story, and actually didn't do a very good job of it. They were quite dismissive of the whole thing, as were a lot of people because it didn't really contain the kill shot.
The problem with Hillary is that she's more scandal than man.
Mm-hmm.
I was reminded recently of her looting the White House in 2001, and then her looting the State Department when she left that. And then you had reminded me of her going through FBI files.
Oh, yeah, Filegate, yeah. That was it,
which, that's a federal offense, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, but not for
And that's taking back to the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine some White House staffer getting a phone call from Hillary and being given instructions? Ma'am, you're not really my boss. Shut up and do what I say. No, but actually, I don't know whether this, what you suggest to me has been authorized. Oh, just do it. Just do this fucking thing or I'll bury you.
Yeah, well...
And why she was allowed to get away with that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I was thinking I would call this issue or this episode Spilling Beans, because one of the things I wanted to raise was the prospect of more people stepping forward as these things become, well, I guess after the election. We're probably going to learn a lot of stuff after the election because through the WikiLeaks now, a lot of stuff is getting revealed. And, this type of story does encourage other people to come forward. One thing I just want to stress here, I read the preliminary releases of the story, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I got the magazine, and then I watched the Hannity interview. And I must say that Hannity interview kind of put things in perspective because, it wasn't really reported on, but the thing that he stressed, that is Jeff Rovin stressed, was that he came forward not to necessarily nail Hillary. The reason he got involved in this, because he kept stressing the National Enquirer had its own files, he got involved actually because he's still playing fixer. He got involved in order to make sure that other people's names did not appear in the story. So he provided basically corroboration for the story. that National Enquirer already had. And he was there just to make sure that some of his sources and some names did not get into the story, and that's the deal he made for corroboration. At least that's the way I heard it, which I thought was interesting.
Any such explanations are suspect and almost certainly false.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, people, squealers all have their noble motivations, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like, I squealed because I was backed into a corner or I was looking to, get some advantage for myself. I'm doing this for the noblest of reasons.
Well, they gave another noble reason in the Daily Mail story and in other coverage. Actually, in the Enquirer itself, it says that he writes, or somebody writes on his behalf, that he's coming forward in order to, well, at one point he said that he was doing it because of all the negative Trump coverage, right?
Right.
And, well, that might be a reason. But then he said, well, in this interview with Hannity, he's doing it because he wanted to keep some people's names out of the story. Take your pick here. He indicated in the Hannity interview that he'd put some things at risk because he has some kind of tentative deal for some of the books that he's written, television series deals, and he doesn't know whether those are going to get canceled now that his name is out. So, difficult to say. But anyways, as to the story itself, it's 9 pages, has at one point the headline, where is that Monica Lewinsky thing? Yeah. Hillary's plot to kill Monica, ! Well, it's not really kill Monica. It's kind of
it's a metaphorical killing.
It's a metaphorical killing. Yeah, really, yeah. So, yeah, they're talking more about this campaign to discredit her, which, they provide this documentation from this.
Discredit with extreme prejudice.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's just, we see that kind of stuff all the time now in the WikiLeaks, and I guess...
No, but I feel this is absolutely hilarious. This idea, and here we are back to the 90s, this idea of discrediting Monica Lewinsky. Mm-hmm. If Monica Lewinsky was the worst person in the world, what difference would it make? Or if her family was horrible? The President of the United States had sex with a, 20-year-old intern or whatever?
Depends on how you define sex.
Yeah. In the Oval Office, right?
Right, yeah.
That's not denied. So what difference does it make what kind of a person she was?
Apparently, this is the way we deal in tabloid discrediting. All right, this is the kind of thing that works. You discredit the source. I mean, that's generally what you do.
So if they did a bunch of investigations into Monica Lewinsky, and they decided, this is a young woman of unblemished character, well, I'm afraid Bill's going to have to resign now.
Yeah. Well, I think that they wanted the people that are supporting Trump, whether it's direct or indirect, they wanted to put this type of thing on the record because, Hillary's made such a big deal about defending women. They just want it very firmly established that, she can get the claws out and she can catfight like the best of them. You know what I mean?
I probably mentioned this before, but this really points to how cold-hearted Hillary is. Now, I can understand how a woman in her position would realize that, yes, these bimbos, as they called them, are going to have to be dealt with, but why would she lead that team? Wouldn't that be too painful for a normal woman?
Not this one, no.
No, not that one.
Yeah, this one, it sounds like, she was ready to go. And it was on that idea of being cold-hearted that the one revelation, at least for me, in this story was this affair with Vince Foster that in the Hannity interview, this Rovan said was pretty much common knowledge amongst his set. And his set he's not a private investigator, he's in tabloid journalism. So apparently everybody knew this in tabloid journalism. In the Enquirer story, they talk about this cover-up after Foster's suicide. Within 2 hours of his body being found, they are ransacking Foster's office, taking all the documents out, searching through them, taking all incriminating documents relating to all types of different things, affairs of Bill Clinton's and Whitewater, etc. So purging the files and then returning the files afterwards. And, if she has this affair with Vince Foster, to act with such, and this whole thing apparently was directed by Hillary, according to Rovan. who participated. If that is true, I think that really demonstrates a lot of
that has been. I have heard that story maybe going back to Ambrose Evans Pritchard.
Okay.
20 years ago or so.
All right.
More than 20 years ago.
That she ransacked the office or had the affair?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
No, that she directed the ransacking of his office.
Okay. 2 hours afterwards, though.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. That was a blind spot for me.
I was going to say, can you imagine getting a drunken late night booty call from Hillary Clinton?
Well, I can actually, because you tried it out on me yesterday.
Oh, do I really want to say this on the air?
Well, why don't you just clean up the language?
We'll just have it it doesn't work. It doesn't work if I clean up the language, so I'm just going to have to issue a not safe for work warning here, and if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead a minute. So She calls up and says, Vince, yes, Hillary? I want you to do something for me, Vince. No, Vince. I want you to do something for me. Do I have to tell you what it is, Vince? I think you know. I want you to come over here and fuck me silly.
And that's it.
Yeah, and that's it.
Well, I really can't imagine getting that phone call from Hillary. I can't imagine, I suppose, it making somebody suicidal, not to make light of the man's suicide, or, as Michael Moore said, I hope she did kill Vince Foster because that's badass.
Did anyone have anything bad to say about Vince Foster after he was dead? Because I don't recall that.
No. The tie in there, of course, is Linda Tripp, who went on to fame and infamy as the woman who coerced Monica Lewinsky, or told her that she should hang on to the dress with semen-stained dress and then go public. Tripp was, I think, the secretary of Vince Foster's, who became firmly convinced that the Clintons had killed Vince Foster. She did not believe her boss had committed suicide. She was, I think, the last person to see him as well. Good drama, kids, by the way. If you want to see a great movie, they might make that movie one day. They haven't made it yet.
Well, let me ask you, you've alluded to this over the years. Do you really think that the Clintons have people killed?
Well, I've been trained by Hollywood. I've seen a lot of movies. I tend to think that, this type of thing happens.
You think it's like that movie with Gene Hackman and Sean Young, Kevin Costner, No Way Out? You think Washington's like that?
Gee, that's a tough one. Do I have to say it publicly? I'm getting more and more like that, I guess, I don't think they do it, I don't think people are bumped off that often, but there are situations.
I used to subscribe to the American Spectator. For many years, I've subscribed to the American Spectator. And it went off the deep end after Clinton was elected. Who was that fellow? What was his name? Brock? The fellow who later defected to Hillary?
David Brock, yeah.
David Brock. And there was all this stuff about Bill Clinton running a big drug operation out of Mena, Arkansas, right? And I'm thinking, Bill Clinton had been a big-time drug dealer. Why did he have no money when he left the White House? I'm perfectly willing to accept, if shown the evidence, that the Clintons had people killed.
Mm-hmm.
But in the absence of such evidence, I'm going to compare them to the Kennedys. That they seem to have invoked the wrath of the gods, and there is a curse on them. All of these people associated with the Clintons, they end up dead, disgraced, in prison,
right? Yeah,
etc.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is apparently a lot of stuff on these people still that has not been made public. That, at least, is what Roven was kind of hinting at. That this editor of the National Enquirer at the time, David Perel, had a lot of files in the 90s on the Clintons, and he was the one making the deals with the Clintons as well. Covering up the sex audio tape Bill Clinton at his brother's bachelor party. This was something that the tabloids apparently had, and they exchanged for access to the wedding.
Yeah, and apparently no one said, Look, I'm only going to give you one piece of advice that you must take, and here it is. Don't go to Roger Clinton's bachelor party.
Yeah, well, you can imagine, what it'd be like now that there's an audio tape of that. Obviously, somebody was thinking ahead and wanted to make a few blackmail dollars. But now, of course, it would be, everybody's got a freaking recorder in their phone, right?
Well, it could be just a memento for yucks.
Yeah, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. President of the United States.
Here's my question for you. All these revelations that we still haven't got from the Clintons and the 90s, would anyone care?
Well, if the revelations involved murder, if they involved criminality, I suppose.
Criminality?
Well, the Whitewater is interesting. The fact that they purged the files of all this stuff that, everybody assumed that they were going to get nailed on. What it looks like is, the totality is that the Clintons are very good at covering stuff up. They are good at plausible deniability. But there's just so much of it, wow.
We have the evidence now that the Clinton Foundation, Hillary and the State Department, was using the Clinton Foundation to funnel tens of millions of dollars to Bill Clinton, Inc. And that's not sufficient to blow her out of the water. This is a woman, everything that she's done in her life leads you to the conclusion that she's not fit to be president of the United States, except that no one serious ran against her, except Bernie Sanders, the old 60s-style Jewish socialist, who almost won, despite the fact that they had to fix the primary process against him. That all the great people and good in the Democratic Party and in the media decided this was her turn, that no one should run against her, and Joe Biden didn't. And they know what they know about Hillary. And they went ahead and forced this on America. This is such black-hearted thinking that it really makes one despair. And it just highlights the importance of this election. I've said it before, I'll say it again, that if, God forbid, the American people choose Hillary over Trump, they have chosen despair and damnation.
Well, okay. You have said that before, and that is not really where I wanted to go with this.
Let's go where you wanted to go.
Well, I wanted to go to the whole idea of, this role that the tabloids play here. I now, it's kind of funny hearing people, of course, make fun of these supermarket tabloids, like this is a tradition we have of making fun of these things, because, in an era of clickbait, this doesn't look so bad. These guys are actually, it's a hard copy publication, right? That doesn't release everything on the internet here. There's lots of pictures, and it costs $6.
People are going to dare to mock the tabloids when the Washington Post regularly runs stories along the likes of, let's see what's on Hillary's Spotify list.
Well, this was the interesting thing that Rovan said, actually, in the Hannity interview, that the world is upside down. The New York Times is the National Enquirer, and the National Enquirer is the New York Times. Well, I said hard copy. The reason I used those words is because from your job as an editor and being in production of a hard copy magazine, how rigorously these things are, the stories are vetted and then edited and re-edited. They're checked over very closely, and that's something that is kind of disappearing with the internet age. So in terms of credibility, the tabloids, because they're maintaining this hard copy, they suddenly become, I guess, in comparison, as reliable, if not more reliable in places like the New York Times.
You touch on something important, that since a great many people have won large defamation judgments against the National Enquirer, that there's an open invitation to sue them. And, of course, no one believes the National Enquirer. They make stuff up. So National Enquirer stories are vetted factually and by lawyers very hard.
Mm-hmm. And it appears this story here, the Clinton story, like I say, they had, according to Rovan, all the information already, like the Enquirer. He provided corroboration for a lot of stuff, and he says that in the interview, that that's what they were looking for. So, yeah, maybe the timing is to help Trump, but they've been sitting on this information, obviously, for a long time, and they just wanted somebody to come along and say, yep, you were inside, you did that, and I guess we can print that now because nobody's going to turn around and sue us. And to this day, I don't think Hillary said anything about this story at all, and she's going to sue these guys. Is she? Alleging that she had a lesbian affair with some Hollywood power broker?
There was no name mentioned. Mm-hmm. I mean, these lesbian rumors about Hillary are quite old. I remember going back, 10, 15 years ago, that a well-known lesbian actress, don't ask me to give you her name. I don't know, she was in the L Word and other such things, where she was speaking in an interview in a very knowing way about Hillary. Mm-hmm. We all know she's one of us.
Right, yeah.
So none of this is new.
Yeah, that's true. Naming names. Well, yeah, but you see, they get specific with an incident here, right? That's the one thing they do. They talk about this incident in 1994. They mentioned it happened in Beverly Hills and a hotel, and they say actress, but they also say Hollywood power broker, right? So
Jodie Foster.
She would have been quite young then, but who knows? Could be talking.
She wouldn't have been that young. She was in Taxi Driver, and that was in 1976.
Yeah, well, she's my age. I think Jodie Foster is my age, and she's 54 or 55, somewhere in there. So she would have been in her mid-30s then. Yeah, okay. All right. Early 30s. Yeah, okay.
Well, one thing that strikes me about this National Enquirer story, and I guess this is part of the meta-universe in which we live, was that the teaser for the story, which appeared on Matt Drudge's front page about 10 days before the story hit the stands, was far more powerful than the story itself.
Yeah, the sound of the plane scared people more than the actual dropping of the bomb. Or it seemed to titillate people anyway. Maybe you want to explain that, though. What is the significance of something like that, then? In an election time, or just in, revealing secrets? What is
okay, so Donald Trump is a groper. That is the big story. The story of all these dubious women coming forth with their dubious stories, that's not the story. It's the accusation that's the story. It's not the proving of the accusations.
Right.
Not that such accusations could be proved.
Yeah.
Other people have pointed this out. Donald Trump is a famous billionaire, and famous men tend to be hit by nuisance suits. People who work with them claim that various things happen, and often these people get paid off simply to make them go away. Trump has been in the news for decades. I've never heard of any such suits, and they all come forward 4 to 6 weeks before the end of the election. Seems a little suspicious, doesn't it?
No support from the tabloids either. That's the interesting part. It got its support from the Washington Post and the New York Times.
Well, we've talked about the meta gossip site AGC.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I was there recently, and one of the publications that they print stuff from said that despite that, what you might have read, the Trump-Melania marriage is absolutely solid. It's in no way a front, and it's Trump's best marriage, and they love each other and complete each other, etc., etc.
Okay. Well, that's pretty dull.
Yeah.
Except that she's very good looking. Yes. So that kind of makes it astonishing in a way. The fact that he was such a publicly known figure, you'd think that there would be all kinds of dirt on him. But, the files on the Clintons are thick, and the files on Trump, he goes back about as far as they do in terms of celebrity, doesn't he?
Earlier.
Okay, he's even earlier. Okay. And he didn't start up a political career until, just recently, so he should be all over. The files on him should be very thick, yet we're not seeing that stuff other than this uncorroborated sexual groping.
Look, he gets on well, as far as we know, with his ex-wives. Mm-hmm. Now, women can be bought off with money, but what's more important in this regard is charm. And Trump appears to have great resources of charm, as opposed to the Clintons. Bill has charm. But typically the Clintons resort to threats.
Well, that's it. And you talked about, you asked me whether I thought these people actually killed people. Well, the fact that you're even asking the question gives them a sort of power, right?
Sure.
The fact that somebody's saying, well, did they kill somebody? Well, that makes you think twice about the extent to which you can betray these people, right? Do they actually kill people? I don't know. They certainly don't go running around with guns, But do they know people that do this type of thing? Do I want to take that chance? I don't know.
Actually, if you're talking about, making a movie about this, that would be very good in a movie, where Hillary actually, lost it, fell apart emotionally and picked up a gun and shot Vince Foster. And then you're going to have to drag his body out into a park, okay?
Yeah.
And arrange some sort of suicide note.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to say this, and there's the perfect opportunity to say it. This question of proof comes up all the time. And the definition of proof has proved to be rather elastic. That the governments make claims authoritatively, which are later demonstrated to be wholly false. For instance, we know to a certainty that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. And for some reason, the news media continue, the government says it, so it must be true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this is the way how it works. David Mamet described it in his excellent film Spartan. Val Kilmer is a member of Delta Force who has got involved in the disappearance of what turns out to be the daughter of the President of the United States. And he finds out things that he shouldn't find out. And he decides to go rogue. And he infiltrates the White House and meets a woman, a White House aide, who it turns out actually raised this woman because her parents were wolves. And so it turns out that the White House has got ahead of the story by dragging a body out of Chesapeake Bay and saying it's the daughter of the President of the United States, and we're all very sad now. And these two people in this room know that she's not dead. And Val Kilmer says, how did they fake the DNA? And the aide looks at him, with that look that you give to retarded people, and says, they don't have to fake the DNA. They just issue a press release.
Ba-dum-bum. And explain that? How
the
that
media
works.
is in the business of fronting for governments. They rewrite press releases. This is what they do. Mm-hmm. They run all of these stories, which are simply government press releases that they've added a little background to, changed a few adverbs.
Okay.
Or whatever. And this is what counts as reporting now. But to give you an example, it turns out that Hillary may lose the election because increases in Obamacare premiums mean that all of these people are just dropping out and deciding to pay the penalty. So Obamacare will lead to fewer people, working people at least, being insured than were previously. Right?
Okay.
And Obamacare, as you know, because we've talked about this since that infamous website went up, Obamacare has been a disaster from the beginning. And what has the media told you about it? Oh, no, it's not a disaster. You have to give it a chance, right?
Well,
you're so quick.
That.
You're so quick to jump on these little things like a website. What, you can't put up a website that works? And we're supposed to believe that you can run a healthcare system? But the media's attitude has been, look, the White House tells us, Obama tells us that this is working, so, it must be working.
Okay. But there's this Hollywood myth-making of the golden age of journalism in particular in our lifetime, of course. The Watergate story. And the other night, I just want to mention as an aside, they did run TCM, Turner Classic Movies, ran All the President's Men, the movie about Bernstein and Woodward discovering the Watergate story and revealing it to the world through the Washington Post. In my view, they kind of made a mistake when they did that because as I was watching it, I was thinking about the O'Keefe videos and how much more compelling a story that they are unraveling there than this Watergate story. I mean, that looked pretty dramatic for its day, but if they make a movie about this O'Keefe thing, it's going to be very dramatic because they've got several agents out there infiltrating these guys. If there's any danger, well, they seem to be.
Here's the tease again. Deep Throat. Ooh. Meetings in an underground parking garage. Ooh.
Yeah. I know, but I mean,
you mentioned Turner Classic Movies. Mm. Now, for the last few weeks, they've been running these movies from the 30s and 40s, which are all about intrepid, incorruptible reporters and editors who are determined to smash the crooks who've taken over City Hall. There was this one, I don't know, maybe you saw it, where this woman who had been William Holden's wife played, she had the Miss Lonely Hearts. She was exiled to the Miss Lonely Hearts slot in the paper, and she got dragged into this.
Yeah, I saw that movie, and I can't remember the title of it. That's where he threw the typewriter through the glass door. Okay.
Much like Ted Byfield used to.
Yeah, well, it was rumored to throw a computer through a window, yes. Anyways, continue.
Well, no, I mean, this tradition, this muckraking tradition in America goes back decades before that. It goes back to the Progressive Age.
Okay.
Where these great reporters were changing America by exposing corruption and, terrible working conditions in factories. Mm. My point about this is, and I may have brought this up before when we did the show on Hilaire Belloc, that Ian Wilson, in his biography of Belloc, which I highly recommend, he pointed out that this hasn't worked out the way that it's supposed to, that there is a great muckraking tradition in Britain, which goes back to, I don't know, Daniel Defoe or whatever. And you see it in Belloc and the Chesterton brothers, Cecil and Gilbert. And you've seen it since the 60s with Private Eye magazine. Mm-hmm. And the more we learn about the corruption of government, it seems the less we care, that the more cynical and apathetic and despairing we become.
That would account for the Clintons' continued success, for sure, And I guess even in our country here, the whole idea of the government running a pay-to-play scheme and everybody saying, well, there's nothing wrong with it, people just sort of let that run off their backs like ducks off water off a duck, So
yeah, but here we are. We're issuing a press release. Mm. All the stories about the corruption under Jean Chrétien. Well, Jean Chrétien looked like a gangster. Alan Fotheringham famously said that he looked like the driver of the getaway car. Right. Right. Mm. And Jean Chrétien was old school. Well, Justin Trudeau is new school, isn't he? He's bright and shiny. He's Princess Rockstar, and he's all about innovation and youth. So the fact that the corruption now is arguably greater than it was under Chrétien, that's not the story. The story is, have we mentioned recently how awesome sauce Justin Trudeau is?
Does this put tabloids out of business then? If at least out of the political game? I mean, obviously they've got things they can reveal. And on that note, I will just toss one out here, just ahead of the Clinton story, a few pages ahead. They've got in their news, Clooney's moving to Big Apple to win U.S. Senate seat, just like Hillary did. And they're calling
That's not going to happen.
Well, they say that he and his wife have taken a place in New York because that's what they're intending to do. So,
doesn't he have all these migrants invading his place near Lake Como in Italy?
I have no idea. Probably.
Look, the tabloids run, and People magazine is pretty much the same in this regard. They run a protection racket. Mm-hmm. You give us access, and we will kill all the many unflattering or even damaging stories about you.
Right.
If you don't give us access, we won't kill them.
Yeah, okay.
See, the tabloids do two things. They knock the stars down, but they also raise them in our estimation because they run stories about, you must have read this story again and again. The story goes like this. actor or actress X, he or she is such a good guy. You know, they have all this craft service food left over from each day's shooting. So he insists that it all be collected, and he personally donates it to a soup kitchen or whatever, right?
Right.
What a great guy. I have read this story so many times that I'm thinking, well, I don't know, so you want good stuff about this guy. We could use the leftover food story. Yeah. Everyone loves a leftover food story.
Okay.
You know, I believe that most of these good guy stories don't happen. I'm just saying that the tabloids, they have a vested interest here. And people buy them largely for news about the celebrities. Mm-hmm. And the news about the celebrities can't be bad news all the time, or else you wouldn't want to read about bad people exclusively. It's too depressing, you know?
Most of this stuff here in the Enquirer is pretty bad news, you know? Stevie Wonder love child heartbreak. Billy Bush, a boob job bully.
Stevie Wonder, why don't they print the real Stevie Wonder, that he's never been blind?
Yeah.
The real Stevie Wonder story, that he's never been blind.
Okay.
I love that story.
No, it's not in here, yeah. But they, Kate Blanchett, cheating shocker, yeah, none of these are good stories, right, The letter from Kardashian's lawyer to the National Enquirer about the previous week's story where they claimed that her robbery was a fake, and they have pictures.
Apparently her reputation, Kim Kardashian's reputation, has been sullied by this. I want to remind everyone that the only reason this woman is famous is that she was allegedly pissed on during a sex tape. Mm-hmm.
To quote from the letter, AMI has despicably re-victimized my client over and over and over again by lying about her and portraying her as a criminal in its tabloid publications. This is unconscionable.
And it's also a lot of uses of the word over.
For a lawyer, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's practicing giving his speech to the jury here. That's all. My point being, there's a lot of salacious gossip in here.
But I'm saying that these are not tribunes of the people, the tabloids.
Right, yeah, okay.
They're not.
Yeah. Although, if the National Enquirer is the New York Post, and the Post is now the National Enquirer, perhaps they are the
Well,
tribunes.
the Post isn't a good example. The Post has traded on its gossip, rather good gossip. It's page 6 gossip for a long time. Mm-hmm. Post breaks a lot of gossip scoops.
Hang on, Washington Post?
The New York Post.
Oh, New York Post. Sorry. Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I was talking about the New York Times. That was the quote from Roven, right? So.
Yeah.
Here's one. There's a happy story here. Right. Okay. Twins attached at head separated. Okay.
Ugh.
That's good. Okay. And then there's a bunch of, sort of pics and happy things there. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. Breast of luck, Ben and Jen. They're back together and expecting a boob job. Okay.
See, the tabloids were instrumental in persuading America that Jennifer Garner was America's sexiest woman. What? And that everyone loves her again. What? Mm-hmm. I mean, Ben Affleck, this horrible, horrible person.
Right.
But Jennifer Garner, I mean, we kept hearing about, how muscular her arms were, and I'm thinking, oh, that really turns me on.
Right.
Women with muscular arms, yeah. I mean, what's up with that?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot in this publication, as we noted. When we went through the first one last week, there's lots of games and a big crossword puzzle and all kinds of stuff like that for this.
Household hints and tips?
No, there's no household hints and tips. There is, like improving your hearing, something like how to improve your hearing, your health, right? A happy marriage equals good health. Weight loss without caffeine. I can't tell if these are ads or articles. Okay. Whatever.
Weight loss without caffeine?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if this were about Hollywood, it would be weight loss without cigarettes, cocaine, and Adderall.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is the second week in a row that they've run something. Maybe they're doing it every week now. A story about this is the 90th anniversary of National Enquirer. That's not a centenary, but it's tells you how long they've been around and doing what they're doing. Still in biz, I guess. I don't know about the financial history of this thing, but is there a future for this stuff in an age where Hillary Clinton can't be brought down?
Well, no. The bigger question about the future of the tabloids is that since the internet, 20 years now, you go to the internet for your gossip, right? Mm.
Yeah.
And so obviously the people who are reading this, they're not going to the internet, they're not going to the television and all the gossip shows on TV for the gossip. Mm. They are going to a printed publication.
Right.
Which is not the kind of printed publication. It's not the kind of publication, I don't know to what extent people read Vogue or Architectural Digest or Vanity Fair. Mm-hmm. But these are handsome objects full of beautiful pictures.
Right.
The highest quality on really good coated stock. And it's the sort of magazine you leave lying around to impress other people what a good person you are. The National Enquirer is not like that.
Oh, that would account for the stares that I've been getting this week from my people that have come over. Okay.
Yeah, there's no social cachet. In fact, the reverse associated with the tabloids.
Okay. So I got to put them with the porno now. Okay.
No, I mean, if you look at Vanity Fair engages in a lot of the stuff that National Enquirer does. They run these profiles, long profiles of actors and actresses, and they pretty much tell you what great guys and gals they are.
Right.
Right? How smart they are and their devotion to their philanthropic work and their deep thoughts about politics and social issues.
Right.
Now, these stories, as I know, they're the subject of intense negotiation. And again, there's the question of pay to play.
Right.
About access, that you will write a story that this woman is a combination of Jesus, Gandhi, and Marilyn Monroe. And if the story doesn't look like that, you will rue the day you picked up the phone to speak to us.
Well, there's a good deal of that actually in the Hannity interview with Rovin. And that's kind of, in talking about our future for the tabloids. I mean, it became pretty plain with Rovin's involvement here and the story that he tells that the tabloids spend about as much time covering up stuff as they do exposing it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
there's no question about that.
Yeah. So who gets taken out? Who gets covered up? These are roles that they get involved in. So all of a sudden that takes on a different color. I would say that's a bigger role than just producing a magazine that's picked up at the supermarket, right?
Yeah, but you saw that Coen Brothers film. Very amusing. Hail Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear. Our young starlet has been caught taking compromising pictures. Of course, you're not going to run that. How would you like a feature interview with Tyrone Power? Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what Rovin sort of indicates. He was not only involved in, receiving these kind of negotiations, he himself, because he was involved in the tabloids, received instructions. So this wasn't done by a studio head. Instead, he's the guy, that's running around making the payments, and he's paying off the sources, right? They have the sources. Maybe they have the same sources as another place. He said that generally every one of these nasty stories that, he came across, that he was told to cover up, he could anticipate at least one of them ending up in a major publication. So it wasn't so much that they needed to just kill the story. They wanted to dilute the story enough so that when it did hit one of these publications, it had no impact, right? So like I say, this is a major role here. This is an intermediary between not just salacious gossip, but political gossip, political stories, and the public, right? So
someone's a falling down drunk or falling down drug user, and this is about to break. And, okay, how about a story that this person has been working so hard, so diligently, that he or she's suffering from exhaustion, or now, as they call exhaustion, lupus.
Are you brushing off your resume here? Is that what you're doing? You want one of these jobs?
I don't know. It sounds soul-destroying. You've seen Sweet Smell of Success?
No, I haven't.
Great film.
Okay.
It's based
It's on my list.
It's based on Walter Winchell.
Hmm.
And this is the 1950s. Walter Winchell was one of the most powerful men in America. He'd been powerful since Roosevelt's time. And the idea is you will play along with my column or bad things will happen to you. One hand washes the other.
Okay.
It's a very old story, but we see to the extent that politicians have become celebrities that they're now playing the same game.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, fair enough. Great deal of power there.
No, my guess would be that a publication like Vanity Fair, it does exactly the same thing. That they have reporters that they pay, by today's standards, really good money to, and they come up with all this stuff in their investigations. And it's put to politicians, how'd you like to be on the cover of Vanity Fair? And we'll have, the best photographers, makeup men and such like, Annie Leibovitz, will come in and make you look beautiful, as hard as that, or as impossible as that sounds. But you have to give us a whole bunch of access. A whole bunch. This isn't a 15-minute interview. We're going to be talking to you for hours.
And Mr. Wiener, how does that suit your schedule?
No, well, you see, you brought up an excellent example. This freakish marriage of this ambitious Jewish man and this ambitious Muslim woman with ties to the Muslim Brotherhood.
Through her family.
And, aren't they America's cutest couple? Really? They are? They're America's most revolting couple. But everyone bought this idea for quite a long time, didn't they? And then, when all of these sects came out, oh, well, she's working hard. It's a journey here. It's all about forgiveness, right? And Tony's not doing any of this stuff anymore. And, it's like the story of every marriage. Well, actually, it's not the story of every marriage, but let's pretend that it is. And, we've got some pain here, and that makes the story even sweeter, doesn't it?
Yeah, but how do you cover up something like that? I mean, how does he get exposed? These are the mechanisms of what news organizations, That's the thing. Is that story out and diluted before it hit? Was it much worse? That kind of thing. These are the things I start to wonder about when I hear that this Rovan guy gets involved with a story like this in order to protect his sources, not necessarily to expose things, right? At least that's what he was implying pretty heavily in the Hannity interview, and it sounds plausible, that he actually got to vet the story. And that's,
sure.
That's why that's why it was such a, I guess, not really a flop, but, that's why it didn't have the things in it that I wanted to see in it, names, that kind of thing.
Look, Anthony Weiner, probably not a good idea to engage in this sexual conversation and send pictures to someone called Sidney Leathers. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Brent Favre was sending pictures of his dick to women for quite a few years before this came out.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was that in the tabloids, or was that in
No,
in
it's
the New York
everywhere.
Times? Oh, okay.
I believe there was a tear-stained apology or some such,
Okay.
And see, the difference there is that I don't think that Brett Favre was sending these pictures to women of the ilk of Sidney Leathers.
Oh, okay.
That, I suspect that these women who received these texts wanted to protect him because, he's the great quarterback, right? And they were such sports fans.
Protect the quarterback. They're like the offensive line.
Yeah, protect the quarterback. Yeah, exactly.
Protect the dick bait. Okay.
But of course, there are all these rumors surrounding the current quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. I won't go into them. They're easy enough to find out. And it would appear that a whole machinery, a very expensive machinery involving various people and the media and all these fixers are engaged to protect the reputation of the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's the Seinfeld reference for the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I mean, look, this is, we've heard about beards before, right?
Yeah.
This goes back a long way in Hollywood. But now it seems that since all of the leading young actors, at least American actors, in TV and the movies are homosexual, beards are more valued than ever.
Right, okay.
And it turns out, amusingly, that young actresses, even actresses with major screen and TV credits, can make more money bearding than acting.
Or dating.
Yeah, or dating.
Yeah, what a world we live in. Yeah.
Yes, what a world we live in.
Well, they have horoscopes.
No, I just
in here too,
going back to the future of the National Enquirer. I can't imagine that it's going to have much of a future in its current incarnation.
Well, there are ads in here. There are lots of ads in here.
Yeah, ads for what? These are the kind of ads that, if you look in the back pages of Vogue and similar such magazines, they make a deliberate decision to leave money on the table.
Yeah.
Because when you see ads for those devices or creams which supposedly make women's breasts bigger, that a certain type of person who's going to buy the expensive jewelry and clothes that are advertised in Vogue, they look at those ads and they go, I don't want to read this anymore. It makes me feel unclean, and worse than unclean, poor.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm just looking at one here that I kind of stumbled across. It's across the page from the Movie Links Puzzle and Celebrity Word Match. Keep it real this holiday season. Adopt a manatee for loved ones. It's a full-page ad. SaveTheManatee.org. Full page. Didn't see that coming, did you?
I'm half convinced that the environmentalists decided to troll us when they decided to go big on the manatee, because the manatee is the ugliest creature in nature, is it not?
Well, it's not too pretty in this picture. Like I say, it's a full-page ad. And it's like two manatees, swimming straight to the camera.
Yeah, okay.
And they might even be mating. I don't know.
They're not cute like sea lions. Personally, I don't find sea lions cute, but many people do. All they do is, foul piers and the like.
Yeah. Well,
and eat and, tear apart enormous amounts of fish.
Right. Well, I didn't think that the type of person that picked up the National Enquirer at the supermarket would be the type to adopt a manatee, but...
Of course they are.
Could be wrong.
Of course they are.
Okay.
No, look, here's the secret. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
People who are obsessed with the private lives of people that they are not related to are, by implication, not particularly interested in the private lives of people they are related to.
Ah. Well, I don't know. The very end of this thing has the odd list. And it's actually, it's called Truly Supportive Husbands. You know what that's about, right?
Go on.
Subhead, men must haul their better halves in wife-carrying competition.
Uh-huh. What?
You basically just have to carry your wife for a long ways. In Maine. This happens in Maine, apparently, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of celebrities.
No. They you have to haul your wife around, and
why?
So they have to sprint a 278-yard course at Sunday River Resort in Maine with their better halves clinging tightly to their backs. Okay, there you go.
That doesn't sound like fun for anyone.
Well, it made the National Enquirer.
278 yards?
Yeah.
That's almost 3 football fields.
Yeah. Well, these are truly supportive husbands. Okay, the winners have a bid to meet some other close couples next summer with an automatic entry into the World Wife Carrying Championships in Finland.
In Finland, okay.
There they'll face the sports powerhouse teams from Russia, Finland, and Estonia.
Is there an ESPN show about this?
I don't know. But there will be, though. I mean, it sounds like some kind of reality show.
Maybe it's on ESPN 3 or 4 or 5.
Well, it's getting the good news out. You'd never heard of that before. So obviously, that justifies some of the $6 that I spent on that one. So there. I mean, the one that I bought previously, had the whole thing about the Kardashian robbery. We were speculating about it, so it was kind of nice to see some pictures of the actual scene, and they must have, really vetted this to,
I'm going to make a prediction about this Kim Kardashian robbery.
Right.
Here it is. That Kanye West is going to announce that he's leaving France, and some reason. Oh, maybe he wants to be closer to his lovely large wife. And what has happened is that the French police, French security, whoever, they go to him and they say, we're on to you, pal. Clear out of France and don't come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose that could be true. We'll have to buy the Enquirer next week.
Look, there's
in order to find out.
This whole business is embarrassing to the French. Not just the robbery.
Yeah.
But there's a thing that goes on in France called the yachting season in Cannes, where all of these famous people and a lot of actresses that you would have heard of go there to sell their bodies to people from, the Gulf region for high prices. Now, the police know about this, and yet they don't do anything about it. The extent to which celebrities are catered to in France, they have very strict privacy laws in France, which are enforced seriously. And you see someone, the Kardashians, Kanye West, they're abusing this privilege. And the French like to do so many things informally.
Okay. So there you have it. The scoop from Kevin Michael Grice regarding Kanye West and Kim Kardashian's robbery. Now, do we have to put some kind of legal disclaimer on that? Or have this show vetted before we actually...
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
I don't think so. Again, I will remind listeners that we're talking about a woman whose claim to fame is that she was pissed on a sex tape.
Are we still talking about Hillary? Had to make that joke. Sorry, man. He's talking about Kim Kardashian. Although we may find out more about Hillary if she loses the election. If there's money in it, I guess.
Oh, what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, that's great. But we already know so much about Hillary. I'm looking forward to learning about Barack Hussein Obama II.
That's true. Now,
because we know so little about that man, even after 8 years in office. For instance, who is he?
Yeah, well, I guess...
What's his legal name? Seriously, what is his legal name? Because he was Barry Soetoro for all these years. And how exactly did he stop being Barry Soetoro and become Barack Hussein Obama II? Was this change made legally? When was it made? Was it made before or after he came to California when he was 18? Under what circumstances did he go to Occidental College, Columbia, the Ivy League? Was he considered an international student when he was attending these institutions? So many questions.
Yeah, but we'll probably have to buy the Globe or something like that to find out, I suppose, if this upside-down world persists.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been disappointed by this sort of thing in the past. It was popularly speculated, even in print, that Harold Wilson, who had been Prime Minister of Great Britain twice, had been a Soviet agent since the 1940s, and that he was being blackmailed about this. When Harold Wilson died, I thought, okay, so the defamation laws no longer apply. So, okay, let's have all the stories about Harold Wilson. And we didn't get any. It's like, oh, God, this happened so long ago. Oh, I see. So it was like 40 years ago, which is so very, very long ago. Now, I mean, with Barack Obama, oh, this happened 10 years ago. So very, very long ago.
Yeah, well, I guess in spilling the beans, to sum up, follow the money. Is there more money in covering it up or spilling the beans, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. If there's money to be made spilling the beans, they'll make it telling the story. But if there's no money in it, I guess it's a wash, right? You don't get paid that much for little items that go in the Encyclopedia Britannica, I guess. I'm not sure.
Well, my final contribution on this segment will be to say that I had mentioned at the beginning that Hillary was more scandal than man. According to ABC News, the newly discovered emails that prompted the FBI to reopen the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private server came from a separate federal investigation of former Congressman Anthony Weiner, multiple sources told ABC News. Federal prosecutors have been looking at whether Weiner sent an explicit text message to an underage girl in North Carolina. During that investigation, at least one device used by Weiner and his wife, Clinton aide Huma Abedin, was discovered.
Oh, boy.
So here we have the convergence. Yes, here we have the convergence, and it would be so delicious if it were Anthony Weiner that were to put the final nail in Hillary's coffin.
We're looking forward to that. I guess you'll have to buy next week's issue of Grace and Steel, because this ends episode 59.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay. This doesn't end episode 59. Why?
Because we're going to have some tech talk.
Oh, right. Yeah. Tech talk. That's right. Yeah.
A little behind the scenes stuff for our loyal listeners.
Yeah,
so the question is, some of you have been asking, I know some of you have been asking this, is that when we shortened the program from 2 hours roughly to 1 hour roughly, we said that we were going to do twice as many episodes. We haven't been doing twice as many episodes, and there are two reasons for that. One of which was that I was dealing with a number of dying computers, which, became dead.
Can I give the second reason?
Yeah, you give the second reason.
Talk to our lawyer.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
No.
No, the second reason.
No, and the second reason is that we use Skype. Everyone knows about Skype. Mm-hmm. And we were using a program called Pamela, which functioned as a kind of app within Skype. And we were using Pamela to record our programs.
Nice thing. It was a nice thing when it worked.
Yeah, it was a nice thing, and it worked well for us. And it wasn't all that expensive, and we got a lot of use out of it. But then these big problems between Pamela and Skype. And they're on it. I guess they're still on it, and they're going to fix these problems. And all these new versions were released, and they didn't fix the problem, and then we got off the Pamela train. So
yeah.
I'll let you pick it up from there.
Oh, I just got to tell a little inside baseball story about the whole Ricky Vaughn interview. Can I tell that story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yes. Well, Kevin was fumbling with all these computers, and he kept having to download the program again and taking the license number and writing it, putting it in there. Anyways, he managed to get the Ricky Vaughn interview just as Ricky was getting kicked off of Twitter. And so they hastily get together. Ricky goes to our website and reads our instructions for how to, set up Pamela so that he gets to record the interview as well. And as a backup, right? Kevin, of course, completely forgets about this because he's, got all these computer problems and he's really, trying to get the interview together and all that stuff. He doesn't get his settings right. So at the end...
No, it's not that I didn't get the settings right. It's that I didn't actually make any settings because I had reinstalled Pamela so many times that, and the settings were there because it recognized my number. My authorization number, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And we are very lucky and very grateful to Ricky Vaughn that he actually went through the boredom of reading Kevin Steele's excellent how-to essay and followed the instructions to the letter, because otherwise I would have been in the very embarrassing position of having no interview to broadcast.
And here's the rest of the story. The problem with Pamela and the integration with Skype right now results in a lot of buzzing. At the very end of the Ricky interview, just as they were finishing off, the buzzing started to appear on Ricky's recording. So that thing seems to have come in just under the wire before the problem started with Pamela. The whole interview was fine except for the very end. The buzzing started, and then the program became, unfortunately for us, unusable.
I'm going to make another prediction, which is that, as you probably know, Skype is now owned by Microsoft. And that Microsoft is famed for its good relations with developers, going back to the beginning. Well, they don't seem to be having very good relations with Pamela. And my prediction is that real soon now, Microsoft is going to announce fantastic new addition to Skype, which is it's got recording built in at no extra charge.
But we don't need you anymore. We're good. Just for tech talk.
We are now using 2 different programs, and
3.
I'll let you explain that.
3.
Actually, 2 new programs.
2 new programs. Yeah, Kevin is now going to be recording on Audacity, a solo mono file of himself. He'll also be recording in a new program called Total Recorder. And that's what he's going to be using. In fact, the whole purpose of this show is to get him trained on that so that he can go out and start doing his interviews with other people. And I am now recording the show in Sonar, which is a Cakewalk product, and using a loopback technique on my Tascam board. So we're doing it completely different now. If you hear a little difference in the sound, it'll take me a little while. We've had to make some adjustments to the microphones and things like that.
Exhausting, boring testing preceded the recording of this.
Boring, yeah. Yeah, where Kevin has to read things and then send
hours and hours of changing settings, and then, why doesn't this work? This is supposed to work.
Right. Well, if this...
Now, there is a... how would I put it? A self-teaching aspect here. Heuristic, as they say. I know a lot of people want to make podcasts.
Yep.
And so we're giving you some information here about techniques. On the other hand, we're also giving you a warning because it is far more difficult than most people believe.
Yeah, actually, I've actually watched some videos of veteran podcasters, and I see that they're doing different things and they're doing things wrong. We just discovered that with the Total Recorder program, actually. We made a kind of fluky discovery on
why don't
settings.
You say what the discovery has to do? How does the volume in your headphones affect the recording?
Well, yeah, it's actually the volume inside the program of Skype. How does that affect your recording?
Yeah.
That was the discovery. You actually had to go to Skype and adjust the volume in the speaker volume to adjust the quality of the recording at the other guy's end, which was, kind of interesting that we managed.
And completely unexpected.
That's right. And that's enough boring tech talk for this week.
Oh, I'll just say that.
No, it isn't.
Well, no. I'll just say that there have been a number of people that I've wanted to contact for interviews.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that. And it's not because I've lost interest in doing the interviews. It's just that this interview that I'm doing with Kevin Steele now, even if I hadn't learned Audacity or Total Recall, as I have dubbed it, it would still work because he is recording this separately. And for me to do these interviews, I have to know these programs. So there was no point in approaching people until I became familiar with the programs. Now that I'm familiar with the programs, I can again get on the phone and call people up and ask them whether they would like to be guests on Grace and Steel.
Crossing our fingers, because I haven't seen your recordings yet. So
yeah,
that's where we're going to finish off. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, I think that's enough tech talk. Would you agree at this time?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to call an end to episode 59 of Grace and Steel. Thank you for listening. I'm Kevin Steele.
And I'm Kevin and Michael Grace.